Hi, hope everyone, my name's Mr. Fruit, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to show you my sketchbook after 30 days of drawing. I wanted to get back into drawing mainly because I'd seen Pewdiepie's video where he showed himself, originally 30-day challenge, and that's what I started, and then he did a video where he showed he did 100 days, but it reminded me I always used to love to draw, and I haven't in a really long time. In fact, I was thinking, like, the last time I drew, like, you know, pencil to paper, drawing art or an illustration was like 5th or 6th grade. A criminally long time. And I don't know why. I would always doodle in class forever, but that's like on the side of papers, doodling the randomest things just because it helped me focus. I also wanted to pick it up as something to explore and grow in and be creative that's not YouTube, which been doing forever, and I don't do enough outside of those sort of things, or like video games. So with this 30-day challenge and this sketchbook specifically got me away from my computer because I was doing traditional art, pen and paper, pencil and paper. But I should know I do want to do digital art, but I'll get there. I just started pencil and paper, and it's just really relaxing for me and fun. And at the start of the challenge, I was having to fit in drawing and make myself draw, but by day 30 I was making time to draw and looking forward to it. And I started out originally being like, yeah, I'll draw like 15 to 20 minutes a day, and you'll see that like never happened. But that's a good thing, not a bad thing, because I was enjoying it and having so much fun. And to preface, because I know I've gotten some questions or people think I'm like a hoax or something, which I guess I should be flattered about, but no, I don't draw. I never took lessons. There was one lesson I took. I remember I was like 6. Took me to a drawing class. It was very traditional. You know, they gave me like a graphite pencil, big sketchbook, and there was a diorama of, you know, this bowl of fruit on like a stool. Like, draw. And that was it. And I got that class that day, and I told my mom, I hate it. I'm never doing that again. So I only ever drew at my own pace or whatever I wanted, which is also probably why I never really improved so much. I drew a lot of Pokemon. Spoilers. Actually, it's most of it. And I could never draw humans. So that's what I wanted to try and change. All right, for starters, feel free to roast me on this tiny sketchbook. I asked my wife if she had any spare ones or, like, you know, notebooks she hasn't used. And a genuine, like, full-size sketchbook was daunting. So I started small, but actually I regret it, and I'll get to that. Let's just get started. So day 1, I decided that my goal was going to be trying to draw, well, first off, just humans better, faces specifically, but also women. Something about men, I don't know if it's like the harder edges or something, I have an easier time with. Not that I'm good at them, but better than women. So I decided, hey, much like PewDiePie, I'm going to try and draw some women, specifically more like animated, stylized women. So day 1, that's where I started. This was the very first sketch I did. Definitely my roughest. And this is the first time I put something on paper with a pencil in 10 plus years. This one was my second. This was my third. I was really happy with this one. Felt like it was a good start. Felt like I got proportions pretty well, face down pretty well, you know, the eyes. This one, I don't know why I started with, you know, a 3/4 view. I thought I'd had that dog in me, but I was like, bro, what am I doing? Overall, these did take a while. It felt like a decent start. This one, I'm glad I went to these because I started with this and I was like, Jesus, what are we doing? Day 2. So remember when I said I was just gonna do faces? That lasted a day. Also, again, I don't know what I'm thinking. There was like some foreshortening going on here, like perspective, like what the fudge? Why did I think I could do this? I even like kept some notes down when I was thinking, so like, you know, eyes down, nose bridge too long. Okay, yeah, what the fudge? Look at that nose. What am I doing? I don't know why I decided to do that. Day 3, I found this art on Pinterest that had this similar style as the one I did to the first, and I really liked it. Spent a good while trying to do, again, I immediately went to 3/4. I don't know. It was hard because I just don't know where to start. Like, I don't have any structure. I don't have any fundamentals. You know, it's not like I started with a circle and then I'm like, okay, well, and then roughly these are where these features will go, and then the shoulders and blah, blah, blah. I think I usually start with the jaw. I go jaw and then the eyes, and then that kind of tells me if like my perspective and proportions are kind of right, and then I go from there. Sure, that's not how you're supposed to do it, but day 4. So yeah, remember I said I was just going to draw women? Whoops, Goku. I love me some harder lines, edges. It's just, I don't know. It's easier for me. Overall, not too bad. It took a while. Like, you know, at one point, my man's jaw was like this wide, but I think I got there at the end. Messed around with like a little bit of shading. You can't really see it in the lighting, but the line art's a little meh, a little shaky. For day 4, pretty happy with it, even though I mixed it up when I said I wouldn't. You know, my ADHD brain go crazy, you know what I'm saying? So you'll notice at this point, I spent more than like, you know, 15 minutes a day drawing. The reason I enjoy drawing so much is because I get lost in it so easily. Like, I don't know why I stopped, because I've always loved drawing. And whenever I start, like, I can't stop. I just get in like this flow state. Nothing else matters, and I just draw. Today, day number 5, for some reason I wanted to do this harder pose. I don't know why. It felt like just doing the head, like I needed to understand more, but also, again, this is day 5. Actually pretty happy with how this hand turned out. Proportions of the whole body as a whole were way off initially, and I actually spent all my time on the body. I got to the head, kind of rushed it. I don't really like what's going on up there. You know, like, I think that's not bad. Day number 6, I figured, you know, I'm only drawing like one illustration or sketch or whatever, portrait. So I'm only going to learn one head per day. So I was like, okay, well, maybe do some head turns around, some different poses. Again, I don't know why I can't just draw normally, but it was a fun challenge. This one, I think I started like this, you know, first row, then second row. Not too bad. I feel like I was so close. Like, just this area, I feel like I butchered. I kind of had it going up here. I think this one was my favorite. I was actually very pleased with how this one came out. I like that one. This one, woof. So instead of Xing out my drawings or like scribbling, I wanted to try to stop it even if I was frustrated, so that just like this, I can go back and see where I was or why I was frustrated, which is also why I wanted to also just start pencil and paper, because first off, it's the least amount of friction. The least amount of excuses. Get paper and a pencil. Start drawing. So I wanted to do it for that reason, but also I feel like it helps with learning and fundamentals, because I'm forced to only be able to make so many errors before, like, I can't erase anymore. It gets too messy. But then I just went ahead to the next one. Not too bad on that one. But overall, of all of them, I think I did the best on this. Day 7. Okay. Still anime women. So I remember starting with this one. It's okay. The head might look a little crazy, but it's because she got a crazy hairstyle. I think this was Pyra from Xenoblade Chronicles. I only know her from Smash Bros. But I was pretty happy with this one, though. With the side profile. Day 8. Oops. It's a dude. Specifically Naruto. And again, boy, was I eager. You should have seen the thing I was referencing. Which, by the way, I want to get this out of the way. All references. These are all references. This is not from my imagination. I am not some savant. Okay? Like, calm down. In fact, I feel like an imposter. I don't know. Yeah, the reference here, boy, was this super forced perspective. Like, you know, like, to where, like, his feet are, like, down here. Like, it was a top-down view on, like, a mountain. It was really cool. And I really wanted to do it, and I roughly blocked out the body. You can't really see it. Tried to start doing, and that's when I realized I got over my head. Trying to get the angle of his face right. This was tough. It's always this side of the 3/4, right? Eventually got it, I think, but I was like, bro, what am I doing? On to the next. That was day 8. Day 9. This one came out pretty well. And it actually came together pretty quick compared to all the others. You'll notice here, so I'd also said, you know what, like, I'm not going to get too crazy with this. I'm not going to get over my head. You know, I'm not going to hyper-focus. I'm not going to mess things. I just want to enjoy the drawing. So I'm not going to watch any tutorials or anything like that. I'm just going to find some art I think looks cool and draw it. Well, day 9, and I already started watching some tutorials on, what is this? Loomis method. The Loomis method. So I found a video going over like how to draw heads with the Loomis method. So I roughly started doing that. But another thing I encountered and was having issues with is I was enjoying all this stylized anime cartoonish art, but the proportions for those aren't 1-to-1 that you would find in realistic proportions. So like the Loomis method, while it was helpful to sort of figure out, you know, like how the skull works and roughly some guidelines to look for, doesn't translate that well to this sort of stuff. However, I think I did sort of use it really rough to get the initial thing in. And I think that's actually sort of why I got, like, getting the center line helped, I think, even though, you know, the rest was not quite one-to-one. But I was happy with this specifically because of the time it took. Day 10, we're a third of the way in. We got our boy. You know him, you love him. Gojo. Did him after doing some more Loomis method heads. You'll see. Just different angles. Trying them out. Mainly because I also didn't know what I wanted to draw. But so I figured I'll just practice a little bit. The point wasn't so much, you know, to do this and for myself. I ended up finding this picture of Gojo. I do a couple of these kind of drawings, but I try to avoid them. Because while I like it, and they're easier because you don't have to worry about, like, this part of the head. And then the proportions as a whole. I think I did the fingers all right, but it feels like cheating. I don't know. Day 11. All right, let's talk about this. You guys are probably like, wow, this dude's just like, wow, it must be so easy. And he's just like drawing it. You might see the little sad face with the tongue out. This was not a good day. Not only was I having just a bad day, I sat down, I found this thing, a Zelda, crazy angle again. I don't know. I sat down, started drawing. It wasn't coming together, Chief. And I'm like, what the fudge is this? And I was getting stuck on it. I kind of got the eyes, but that was it. And I kept trying. So frustrated. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to draw shapes. Because, spoilers, I watched a couple more videos about, like, fundamentals. And everybody's like, draw shapes and 3D space and angles and volume, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. I drew a couple shapes, called it a day. Didn't spend too much time, but also proof that, like, it was a bad day. I didn't get that much done, but I at least did something. Day 12. We back in it, though. See, we rebound. Went for this illustration. Ended up taking about an hour and a half. Not bad. I like what I did with the eyes. Hand wasn't too shabby. Overall, I don't hate it. Some angling issues, especially like the hair and the top of the head. You know, a nice rebound from this. Day 13. Spoilers, another not great day. And rather than just being like, well, everything sucks. Even though, you know, that's how it felt. Drew some more shapes and volumes. Much less time, too. Because what I was realizing was, even though I'd said I would sit down and just, 15 minutes a day. Spoilers, like literally none of the days turned into 15 minutes. But that also became daunting. Because then I'm like, oh, well, I need to do a whole thing. I tried to prove to myself, like, I don't have to. I'm just going to draw some volumes and shapes and whatnot. And random eye. Try to stack some on top of each other and how they'll fit. Or carve some out. Or, you know, tackle on and perspective, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Day 14. Challenged myself 10 minutes per face. So this is similar to the other faces I did like day 6 or whatever. But I was like, this time I want to focus a little more on speed. Essentially, like whatever I draw down is permanent, essentially. Try not to double back. And honestly, not bad for 10 minutes. This one, I need something about the eyes. This one, I think I made things a little too long, but also it was sort of an exaggerated look. I was pretty happy with this one. I know stylistically it looks different, but from the reference I was using, it was like a rounder face. Bad, but it's not perfect, especially like the eyes compared to, like this is, she'd have to be much more angled, which the jaw would be brought in and the nose, the center line wouldn't be here. So the eyes are messed up. So like aside from that, happy with that one. And then I didn't love this one, but it was a hard, you know, like angry pose. And for how quick it is, I think I got the point across. Decided to do a forced perspective again. I don't know why. For the suit, I didn't have enough room, so you can't see the feet. But for the most part, I got the perspective down, like the forced perspective. And the problem about doing forced perspective without doing the fundamentals, like I don't even know what normal proportions are. So now I'm trying to like force it and change it. So I don't know why, but you know, I thought like draw what you want to draw. And some of my favorite art is always crazy stylized forced perspective art. That's why I wanted to try it. Then the head. Look, after doing the body, I had like the rough idea of the head, came back to try and, brother, I got nothing for you. Day 16. Remember, like, so just like Gojo, I did some of these shots. I was going to do a third, a little ambitious. I just didn't have time. I think these turned out pretty well. I like these. But again, only so much without being able to do the entire head. So I sort of I get to cheat the proportions. Who's going to complain about some Makima? Proud of the lips, and I tried to do some weighted line art here. Day 17. even though I was struggling, I was like, hey, what if I do another like almost full body shot? And to my surprise, actually did the body and the proportions pretty well. I now see the head was like a slight tilt, but the eyes definitely don't. That's so not perfect, obviously. Not the face. Yeah, the more I look at it, the more it's upsetting me. I swear when when I finished, I was like, man, I did not see that face. That's crazy. Still happy with this though, as a whole, because I was, especially doing some of the, like that forced perspective earlier and some of the full bodies, I was feeling less confident, but like, I was like, oh, okay, I can sort of do it. All right. Day 18, didn't have as much time. Mainly because I had a headache. Yeah, I wrote down headache. Head was hurting, so I just drew something real quick loose sketch of Tanjiro. And honestly, pretty happy with the placement and everything. Because again, I don't think I used the eraser like once. Not perfect, especially in the eye here and stuff. So like, it wasn't a great day, but I got something down. 19, want to do some more faces. Yeah, I think I started here. I said meh. I don't know what it is. I think this is pretty close to the reference, but something about it just feels off. I was pretty happy with this one. This one's more along the lines of what I was thinking. And again, a little bit of an off angle here, and I was able to get this jawline pretty quick. And that's definitely what I was shooting for. Got the eye angle a little bit better here. This one felt good about. And this one, I did really fast. I even wrote down fast. I think I did a better job. So this one was definitely exaggerated, like the mouth like way down. But again, I wanted to try a couple heads because I definitely enjoy doing illustrations, which you're going to find out because on day 20, I made my favorite piece of art, or what I thought was going to be my favorite piece of art. And I was like, this is my coup de grace. I was super happy with it. And I still am. I really like this piece. This ended up taking a little over 2 hours. A lot of that though was finalizing the line art and then shading this one. First time I really tried shading. I really like this one. Even if, you could find imperfections. I was really happy with myself. Like, especially the head. I got the whole face done really fast this time. I think that's what led me to feeling myself and doing the rest, and then just, fully sort of illustrating it. It doesn't quite show up with the exposure and stuff on this camera. Some of the shading shows it a little bit lighter. Was definitely a bit tough, especially through here with the hair. And what I found, I was hurting my hand because I only had so many pencils. And so I was like not using a dark one to really get in there to get darker and darker and darker. And that just hurt. Same. And then especially with some of these darker lines I came in with, a little bit shakier because I was like freaking, across that thing. I was feeling gassed about that. I was like, nice, let's get it. But again, I did this and I'm like, well, this is cool, but I don't know, I just used the reference. I'm still struggling with that. Skipped a page because I didn't want to like accidentally mess that up. Really like this one. And this is actually why I'm making this video. Ended up making a post on Twitter about how I've been struggling more than not, but the one good thing was I've stuck to doing this 30-day challenge, and I just drawn that. I like what I did with the eyes and the lips and stuff with more of the shading. Not perfect. Like, I can definitely see some problematic, especially like line art and stuff. Problem too is like, so this is why I ended up regretting this paper and the sketchbook is it's so tiny, and like when it's raised, like your hand has to be up rather than like rest or like using your shoulder. So I'm usually up and it's awkward angles. And like, if I can't just like use an entire piece of paper to, it was really frustrating, but I was, 21 days in. So whatever, we saw it through. Really happy with this regardless. Didn't like it quite as much as the last. But everybody was gassing this up and was asking to see the other stuff. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll make the video. Another more illustration, went with some more shading, went with something too that had some darker colors and like more colors throughout. So like some rough, like only some pencils, so looks more textured. Sort of an angle, I swear, like looking down slightly angle on the face. And you can't really see some of the shading. I had to really subtly shade the nose to get the shape of it. Day 23 didn't go very well. Had another piece I really liked, and I was like, freaking do this. Started with the body, got the proportions sort of locked in. I'm like, yeah. Had a rough idea where the head was. Started working on the head, and I don't know. I started working on the eyes and like lazy. I don't know. I couldn't get it. It was frustrating me to no end. And it was the case of traditional paper. Like I kept erasing and it was so tiny. There's only so much I could do. And I was like, it's a wash. So then I just drew a random eye to feel better about myself. I think I might have, yeah. Then I actually watched a draw along like anime face tutorial or whatever. I don't know. It went okay. Day 24, another draw along. I was like, screw it. I want to see how people try and do the proportions. Super unhelpful. This was 10 minutes, but like, there's like, so measure it out and then draw it and draw the rest of the owl. Like there was no real explanation. I think this one was from inspiration or just from my imagination and some rough ideas of what I had. Real rough. Then I went on to draw a couple more. Well, I said WTF because I was like, what the fuck? 9 minutes. Bro, it was impossible. The angle they had with this eye. It looks like I completely butchered it, but man, like, wish I could show you. It was so hard. Pretty happy with this one. This one was 8 minutes. This one, it's like I drew something completely. Let's just ignore that one. And this one was okay. 5 minutes. I was like, oh. Moving on, though, to... Is this the same? Wait. This was still day 24. Okay, I guess I just did a lot of random stuff. 25-minute sketch of Shadow Heart. Been playing Baldur's Gate 3 with my wife. And decided to try inking. Like, screw it. I drew the sketch, and I wasn't married to it. So I was like, all right, I'll try it. Tried inking for the first time. A lot of fun. I like inking. And man, is it satisfying to ink and then erase all the sketch. Oh, I like that part. I don't hate it. And I found out I like inking. Sketching is fun, but I like when it all comes together. So day 25 and 26. This next one took 2 days. First day sketch, second day ink shading. Yeah. I really like this one. And it was nice because especially after day 20, I'm like, well, this is it, man. Like, it's not going to get better. Like, what the fudge? But then I did this. I really liked this. Especially inking this one and doing the shading. Like, I think it would have elevated the other one a little bit. I really tried to do, like, weight. So I tried to do, like, especially a lot of the inner folds and stuff. Some of the inner details of the clothes with, you know, lighter line art. And then some of the areas where, you know, maybe the light hits a little less or overlapping with some cloth or, you know, some of the hair on top of each other. This might be tied for the one I like the most. Or this might be my favorite. I don't know. But yeah, I really like this one. I like how it turned out. Made a couple of boo-boos. Like when I was inking, I accidentally I drew the earring through the ear. Like the hoop just is there. So, like, you know, like, oops, but it's permanent. So, like, what do you do? I will say inking is very scary. I'm always nervous and sweating when I'm inking because I'm like, oh, God, if I mess up. Day 27. Rip to a real one. This was the day I heard of Akira Toriyama's passing. What a legend. Wouldn't be here without Dragon Ball in the sense of, like, literally the earliest memory I have, and one of the only memories I have of drawing as a kid, I think it was, like, second grade lunch period. I'm eating my lunch alone, sketching a Goku. There's a janitor lady, comes up and just, it was like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. You're like a real artist. You're gonna do like, you're gonna go places when you grow up. You're doing great. Couldn't tell you anything else. But that one compliment, bro, meant the world to me. To the point that I still remember it to this day. Watched Dragon Ball as a kid, grew up with it, talked about it with my friends, shared that. I still watch it. I listen to Dragon Ball hype music every day when I work out still. So I wanted to do a little something. So I sketched this Vegeta. Again, reference. And kept it a loose sketch. I'm getting better about, you know, my sketch lines and being more confident, but a little more rough. This hand, my God. I mean, it's like, you know, it's a tough thing, like at an angle. Took a while, and that's when it got to the point where like I can't erase anymore. It's there, and then that's when I realized that I drew this out a little too far, and I need to just bring it in a little bit. And again, I want to do digital art, and man, it will be nice when I do, because yeah, like literally if I could just like select, beep, you know, like lasso tool, swoop, it would have been solved. But since that wasn't the case and I already erased so much, I'm like, all right, well, it is what it is. I actually got the face in really fast on this one. I spent almost all the time on the body and stuff, so felt good. But again, it also felt like cheating because it's some of the male jawline, some sharper edges and stuff. Like, I don't know. Feels a little more forgiving. This might be my favorite, if not second. So I went ahead and got some alcohol markers. Because especially after that one I'd just done that was inked and shaded that I really liked, I'd almost wished I'd been able to color it, but I didn't have anything to color with. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try some alcohol markers. Wanted to get a sketch that I liked enough to ink and then color. And even though it's not perfect, I really like how it just comes together. Really nice being able to see like a finished, like I made what looks like finished art on paper. Like it's always just sketches. Typically whenever I drew, I never illustrated or rendered. I don't know the technical words. The inking isn't perfect, but I'm not too upset about it. And I'll have to learn sort of how to draw with alcohol marker. It's tough to like only do a soft layer and then come through, but I think it's called like the transistor. I tried to play around with like the transistor colors, as well as using a variety of different shades, not just one marker, to get some highlights and shadows. And it was nice because I could imply like the nose here now with color rather than having to do some line art where it wouldn't really work, or like no shading, so it's kind of ambiguous and you don't really see the whole shape. It doesn't quite make as much sense. But I just really like this finished product, even though like I already see some issues with it. And like this was proof to me too of like I'll still mess around with mediums and figure out what I like, but I like illustrating. I like finishing something, because I also sort of have a problem where it's really hard for me to see something until the rest is there. So like I can sort of draw some of the face, but until I draw the rest of the head and like the hair, I have a really hard time seeing if it's like right. That makes sense. That was day 28 and 29. 28 was the sketch and same thing. 29 was ink color instead of shading this time. And then I skipped a page because I didn't want to like mess with the, who knows. So then day 30 is sort of poetic, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Wasn't a real good day. I don't know. After that, after making what I saw, I was like, oh man, that's so cool. I've come so far. Tried to start a new piece and I just couldn't get the jaw. Took forever. Tried drawing the neck and I couldn't, the proportions kept wrong every time. The eyes. I came back and just did random eyes, but like frustrated. I couldn't figure it out and I just moved on. So instead, I drew like a really rough, smaller sketch of it. Like, you know, minus most of the details. Just like, I don't know, sort of get the shape, maybe feel a little bit better about it. It's so rough that you can kind of see the jawline, but like, and then screw it, I drew some more Loomis heads and a cone. And I think that was it. Yeah. That was day 30. That's how I ended it. But I also want to prove that even with all that progress, day 30, even after making something I was really proud of, sort of a wash. Also, again, like I was so frustrated with this paper at this point and like not being able to, and being so restrained. And then also I tried drawing in like an uncomfortable position, and that I learned a lot, needless to say, from this. And that's how the journey ended. Started here. And the thing I'm struggling with is like, I don't know if you can see that much improvement. Day 1 to day 29. Some of the improvement comes from the speed at which I was able to do some of this, or the speed at which I was able to recognize when I was off base. Well, see, then I look at this and I'm like, okay, I was doing this like 20 days later, way better. So maybe, you know, this one makes me feel a little bit better. But again, since I'm just using reference, I don't know. How do I already have like imposter syndrome? I don't know. Can I draw? I just feel like, well, I'm just drawing from reference and what I see, and everyone can do that. So after 30 days, I feel good. And I'm going to continue to draw. It's not like I'm doing it for 30 days and I'm ditching it. I now want to make this a thing that I do almost every day. I'd love to add this to my daily routine, along with like working out and work and hanging out with my wife. I could also add drawing to that. It's a nice creative outlet that's outside of content creation. It's nice improving on something, even though for me right now, I'm struggling to feel the improvement, which is why I might return for a 100-day video if you guys want to see that. I'm not sure. I'm going to get a bigger sketchbook, that's for sure. I think I'm going to be a little more deliberate with the next 70 days of art. Not so much because I don't want to suck the fun out of it. That's also why I did what I did. It was just draw what I want and don't think about anything else. Don't think about if I'm doing it wrong or the fundamentals are wrong or blah, blah, blah. If I get that into it, I'll worry about it later. And so now I think I'm there. So if you guys have suggestions on courses or something to take, what I do want to do still for the next 70 days is still focus on humans. I think I'm going to explore some anatomy, which I know is like a whole thing, and 70 days probably isn't even enough to, you know, understand all of that, but anatomy along with more head and face drawings so that eventually I can just a whole human and pose them. Still going to probably be from references for a very long time, but that's, I just have to get okay with that. And that's what a lot of people do. And I shouldn't feel ashamed about it. So that's what I want to do. If you guys have any good advice for that, I might start like a Discord channel where maybe I update you guys or share some posts every couple days about how it's going. And if you guys maybe start doing something like this or on some other creative challenge you're trying to explore, maybe, you know, drop in there, have a little community. Everybody can lift each other up and give feedback if they want, or, you know, just react. And at the very least, you get to show somebody, because that's the thing about art too, is I don't need to show somebody, but I also don't make art so that nobody sees it, you know, even if it's just my wife. But I think we as humans, especially when we do creative things, we like to just share it with people. And so maybe we'll do more of that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video though. Let me know your thoughts, or if it inspired you. That's what Pewdiepie video did. I'm sure he didn't make it thinking it would inspire a lot of people, but I know I'm certainly not the only one that started drawing again because of it. So if this video can have that impact on somebody else, that'd be awesome. And my advice would be to just get started. Even if it ends up being a rinky-dinky little notebook like this, pencil, paper, that's all you need. Don't worry about anything else. Just start drawing. With that said, thank you much for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day. I'll talk to you in the next one. Very well.